If you feel like a total addict around sugar, sneaking biscuits when no one's looking, hiding wrappers from your partner, and driving to the corner shop at 10 p.m. to get your sugar fix, then this video is for you. As a psychologist, I see this all the time, but what I want you to know is that what feels like sugar addiction can sometimes be something totally different. I'm Dr. Lara, a psychologist and binge eating coach, and I help high-achieving women feel calm and confident around food. And today I'm going to explain exactly why you feel so out of control around sugar and how to turn down the volume on those cravings without cutting out a single food group. If that sounds too good to be true, then stick around because this video is for you. Because what you think is the problem with sugar might actually not be the problem at all. When women come to work with me, they often say to me, "Lara, I can't keep chocolate in the house because I finish everything and literally until I feel physically sick." They're convinced that sugar has chemically hijacked their brain. They think they need a detox. They talk about going on a sugar cleanse to reset their system. And I get it because it feels like an addiction. I have been there myself. But the thing is, sugar does not have the same physiological properties like drugs or alcohol. The term sugar addiction is actually quite misleading, and it is a concept that's really been pushed by diet culture based on the claim that when you eat sugar, it lights up the same reward centers in your brain as when you take drugs like cocaine. But, and this is something that's missing from a lot of the conversations, those same reward centers are lit up when you do things like stroke a puppy, listen to great music, or hug someone you love. So calling sugar addictive kind of misses the point. Interestingly, when we look at the research on binge eating disorder, we see something that is frequently overlooked when we talk about this concept of sugar addiction. Studies are consistently showing that there's a huge link between dieting and binging. And studies are showing that 40 to 50 to 60% of the participants were dieting before their binge eating behaviors actually started. So when a client comes to me and says they feel like they're addicted to sugar, I don't necessarily look at the sugar, I look at the restriction. And what I find is that these are people who restrict food. They skip breakfast, or they are really good all day, or they eat a really light lunch. Perhaps they've cut out particular food groups, or they're really cutting down. And in most cases, they've also said that they're totally cutting out sugar. But then the problem is that it causes this kind of cycle where when they cave into something that's sugary, it's almost like the floodgates open and they end up eating the whole packet. Psychologically, this isn't an addiction. It's actually something called the forbidden fruit effect. It's this idea that the more you tell yourself a food is bad or toxic or off limits, your brain actually assigns value to it. Your brain kind of puts it up on the pedestal. So you're turning these cookies or the chocolate into this kind of high value resource. So when you finally get access to it, your brain screams at you saying, "Quick, get as much of this as you possibly can now that it's here." So that urgency you feel, it's not actually an addiction, it's a reaction to the restriction, that kind of scarcity effect. So let's take a quick look at what's happening biologically speaking. When you restrict calories or you cut out entire food groups, your brain doesn't know that you're on a diet or a healthy eating plan. It literally thinks that there is a famine happening. And in a famine, the most valuable food source is actually sugar, because that gives you a quick burst of energy. So when you are underfueled and you're not eating enough and you finally eat that sugar, your brain releases this massive spike of dopamine. It basically says to you, yes, she's found some high energy food. Eat as much as you possibly can before the famine comes back. So that out of control feeling is literally a biological response to the famine. And so super ironically, the more you totally quit sugar, the more addicted you can feel. Okay, so the question now is, how do you actually stop that out of control binge then? It may feel really counterintuitive, but one of the strategies that I use regularly regularly with my clients is something called habituation. Habituation basically is this idea that the more you're exposed to something, the less appealing it becomes. So think about it. You don't binge on something like broccoli or carrots, do you? And that's because you've given yourself unconditional permission to eat broccoli or carrots literally whenever you want. It's not that exciting, it's not forbidden. To stop these binges on sugar, actually, we kind of want to do the same thing. We want to normalize sugar being around. We want to make it not a big deal so that when you see the cookie or you see the packet of sweets or you see the chocolate, you can look at it and you can go, nah, I'm all good. And I will say, when I first started doing this personally, for me, when I was recovering from binge eating and bulimia, I thought that this was going to be impossible because I was one of those people that if there was a half a bar of chocolate around or a half open packet of cookies, I had to eat it because I didn't want it in the house. It had to be gone. So this might sound really counterintuitive to you, but I am now at the stage where, for example, I received a box of chocolate at Christmas. It is now late January and there is still a half opened box of chocolates on our kitchen surface, and it's just kind of there, and there are still loads of chocolates in there, and every now and then I have one when I fancy it, but I kind of forgotten about it. It's really not a big deal, and that's through that process of habituation. We want to make it so that the sugar, the chocolate, the cookies, they're not a big deal. So you kind of can take them or leave them. So this process that I'm talking about is about giving yourself unconditional permission. Now, I also will say that you might find this easier to work through with support, with a binge eating coach like me or with a dietitian. What you want to be doing is taking sugar off that pedestal. As long as it's considered naughty or special or off limits, it is going to control you. You want to be taking back control so that you are in charge and you can take it or leave it. So it's this idea of telling your brain that you can have it whenever you want it. The next step in this process actually is called food pairing. You see, most binges kind of happen in secret, or they happen on an empty stomach, or they happen at the end of the day. What I want you to do is, when you are starting to give yourself unconditional permission to eat the sweet food, you want to do it alongside food that you're actually eating. So you're pairing it with something that you would traditionally consider healthy or balanced. So a good way of doing this is to pair something sweet with your normal meal that you are already having. So if you're having lunch, have a small bowl of ice cream afterwards, or you're having dinner, maybe have 2 squares of chocolate at the end of dinner. This helps you stabilize your blood sugar levels, but more importantly, it teaches your brain that sweet stuff can just be a normal part of everyday eating. It's not secret or shameful, it's just part of the meal. Again, I know this sounds counterintuitive, but the more you do it, the more you practice doing it, the easier it becomes, and the less urgency you will feel around sugar. Now, you might also be thinking, oh my God, Lara, if I do this, I'm just going to be totally out of control and totally let myself go. That's definitely fear talking. And like I say, maybe you will find it a lot easier to do this with a professional supporting you through the process. But I can promise you that it is possible, it really is. I've walked hundreds of women through this process, and the result is always the same. When the restriction ends, so does the obsession. So if you are someone that is ready to stop the food noise and have a more healthy relationship with sugar, and you want the support in doing that, you can hop over to Instagram and just send me the message balance, and we can chat about what that might look for you. Or you can just pop a message in the comments below and I'll get back to you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with everything food freedom, recovering from binge eating, and you can check out these videos next for more tips to heal your relationship with food. Bye for now.